So where did the timeline fracture get us a Professor X who swears? Hey guys, I don't really have a particular impetus for this. The latest trailer for Logan came out a little while ago. I didn't really do a video on that directly. I did one about the first trailer that came out, but I'm not necessarily talking about the trailer specifically. I'm sort of using it as a leaping off point to talk about some stuff that's been talked about since then, and just in general to talk about the continuity of this particular film and this franchise as a whole. Things have gotten a little bit weird, and actually I'm part of what I'm going to complain about I have contributed to, because some things were said when the first trailer hit where it basically said this is set in the same timeline as Days of Future Past, the epilogue bit in that, just a little bit down the line. I didn't like that because it means that whatever happy ending we got at the end of that got robbed from us and everyone's dead now. I didn't care for that. But it's now very up in the air, and we're getting contradictory things in terms of where Logan actually fits in terms of continuity. So is it actually set after Days of Future Past? Is it set after the epilogue of Days of Future Past? Is it later on in the revised timeline of Days of Future Past, which would make it, I suppose, a follow-up to Apocalypse? Is it set somehow in the original timeline before everything got messed up, which would make it a sequel to the Wolverine most directly? And some fans are really going nuts trying to figure out where this fits, how does this work, and you kind of gotta stop. See, here's the thing about series continuity. Now that comic book movies are a thing, and continuity between those movies is actually a very big thing and tightly maintained now, we've kind of gotten spoiled for continuity. We're like, we want everything to fit perfect, and we're geeks. We pick stuff apart. But not every franchise is built for that. Some very actually deliberately don't go out of their way to have continuity. They don't go out of their way to contradict things, but they're not there to make everything line up. A good example of that is the Mad Max franchise. Now, George Miller, the maker of every single Mad Max film, has said flat out, yeah, there isn't really a continuity. You can't track it from one film to the next and have it completely line up. And yet, even when the maker of that film said, yeah, they're not supposed to all fit together completely, I would still see, forum posts and videos and whatever of people with these theories like, that Tom Hardy isn't actually Max because Max was Mel Gibson. No, Tom Hardy is the feral kid from that earlier movie, and they would try and knit it and make it this perfect continuous continuity. And while sometimes that can be a fun exercise, we need to accept that it's completely unnecessary, and actually oftentimes we kind of ruin these things for ourselves by picking apart things that aren't meant to be picked apart. Now, under normal circumstances, I would kind of lump Logan under that. Unfortunately, the X-Men franchise is a bit of an odd duck, because not only has there been some continuity, but across the film, supposedly it doesn't hold up very well, but they've been trying. And more to the point, there are some entries in the franchise, Days of Future Past being the first one that really springs to mind, that has gone out of its way to be basically about the continuity or about altering it. So when you literally have an entry in the film that is all about the continuity, you can't really go, the continuity doesn't matter. And yet that seems to be what director James Mangold and Hugh Jackman seem to be doing. They're kind of going, look, this is like an alternate timeline, or they're being vague, or they're what they want to do, I get the sense, is they want to throw their hands up and goes, please stop worrying about the continuity, just watch the movie. And that's kind of the headspace I want to come at this from. And it's not the fault of this filmmaker and this star that the franchise that they're making this film in has a completely screwed up continuity. It's not their fault. So maybe I can forgive Logan on this. And as I think about it, I actually like that approach, and I like that feel in terms of coming at it. So I like that it seems like, and we'll know better once the movie finally comes out, but it seems like what happened was they said, here's the story we're going to tell. And they basically were given the freedom to disregard how it would have had to knit into earlier continuities. Like, well, here's the story we're going to tell. Well, no, but see, we got to change it because in an earlier movie, this was established, so we need to change it. No, that will make the story worse. We're not going to do that. To heck with your continuity, we're doing this. That's the vibe I'm getting. And that's probably going to result in a better film than if it was overly continuity obsessed. When you are too caught up in continuity in terms of, dealing with threads you left before and setting up stuff for future films, that's when you get Amazing Spider-Man 2, a movie that feels more like franchise management than it did actually telling a story. So I am glad that for this film, they seem to be taking the opinion of, look, we're going to tell the best story we possibly can, especially since this might be Hugh Jackman's last outing as Wolverine. For my money, he'll probably cameo in Deadpool or X-Force or something, but it's probably his last time leading a film as Wolverine. That's my bet. It looks good. I'm excited to see X-23, see what they do with it. Let's enjoy this thing because honestly, at this point, I'm genuinely excited. I really liked the Wolverine, and even though the X-Men franchise really kind of fell on its face with Apocalypse, I'm actually excited about this movie. I don't really get excited off just one trailer anymore for the most part, because it's happened a number of times where a first trailer intrigues me and then a later trailer either spoils too much or it shows me an angle that I'm like, oh, that could be the thing that's the problem. And I haven't seen that with Logan. I'm just seeing stuff that makes me go, I really want to see that. So thoughts on the latest Logan trailer, thoughts on the continuity of the X-Men movie, whatever you got, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that little bell down there so you get notifications when new stuff goes up. Follow me on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Check out the Council of Geeks podcast available on iTunes and Stitcher. And until next time, this council is adjourned.